So it's the middle, well, actually it's already the 24th. So it's the 24th, we're getting to the end of the month, still plenty of time to hit your goals that you have for this month, to reach out to 2 to 3 people and connect with them and see if you can get them to get started on their healthy journey. So do not, if you're nowhere near your goals are, just know that there's still plenty of time left. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, I was talking with one of the leaders and we were chatting about potentially having an 80-day push group specifically for our daily activities. And this would be done on the challenge tracker app. So it's not going to be another group or anything like that, but it would be a just kind of 80-day push of us coming together, being accountable, showing our daily accountability for 80 days, kind of like going off of the 80 obsession. But we were just talking about just the habit of tracking and how important it is for us to be tracking our business, for us to be making that exact time, every single day whenever we can, and just really putting in as much time and effort that we can to our business every single day. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to introduce to you our guest speaker. I'm super excited. Jillian, where are you from, Jillian? Are you from Massachusetts? Are you from, yeah, so she's from Massachusetts. And we were just chatting. We're in a couple leader groups together, and we just got to connect a little bit. And so we were talking about time management, and her name had come up. And so I was like, we need someone to come and speak to us on time management, someone who lives this. Those of you who know me know that I'm always like super hectic and like all over the place sometimes. And so time management is like my Achilles heel at times, and just the organization. So just really surrounding myself with people who are a little bit more organized have helped me. But Jillian is a 5-star diamond, 2-time elite. So super, like just amazing. She is a mom. And so that's another reason why I wanted her to come and speak, because we have a ton of mamas on our team who I know have that hectic life. It's crazy. And because your kids cannot, they don't go by the time, by the clock. And so you're kind of left to what they're doing. And she's also a Success Club 10 All-Star legend. And then she just recently, left her corporate job, and I'm sure she'll talk a little bit about that in March of this year. And so, but anyway, so thank you so much, Jillian, for taking time out of your busy schedule and time away from your family to come and inspire us and motivate us and give us some tools and tips that hopefully they can take away.
Having me. I'm super excited to be here. So I am a corporate girl, which means I did prepare a presentation. I shared it with Stephanie ahead of time, so I'm sure if she didn't get it to you, she has it and she can give it to you. There's a lot of stuff to write, so don't like panic. If you don't have it or whatever, or you can't feel like you can't write fast enough, you will have access to it. So I'm gonna share my screen with you all. Can you guys see that? Okay, cool. So I'm going to talk to you about working full time and rocking your business. And Stephanie shared a little bit about kind of what's going on with my corporate job, but I'll dive into that and where I've been in the past. I will have been a coach 4 years in June, so it's almost 4 years for me. And like many of you, I started for the discount because I'm like budget friendly and I love Shakeology, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to start for the discount, and it kind of grew from there. So I'm going to give you a little bit of my background. I kind of have a unique story, and my why and everything sort of shifted for me. So I was a girl who was overweight and had yo-yo dieted for years and years, diet pill addiction, binge eating, the whole nine. And so I went from kind of that picture on the left to the picture on the right. And then the kind of secondary was when I got stuck. And then I did a 21-day fix extreme round, which I'm a big advocate of that. I used to count on the competition plan. You hit a plateau. And that was kind of my transformation there. So I was someone that really just struggled with weight. And I had tried everything. I did I did one of the other, no, I did Advocare 24-day challenge. I mean, I tried everything. And I found my coach on Facebook and I kind of started stalking her. And then I'm a Googler, like I'm a researcher, I'm an engineer. So like I'm all about like numbers and looking things up. And so I started like looking up Shakeology. And by the time I contacted her, like I knew what I wanted and like I was just going to order. I just needed to know how. So that is why I started this journey, like just to get fit. And I had a job I really liked. When I started, I wasn't a mom. I didn't have any desire to stay home. I made plenty of money in my corporate job. I didn't need the coaching side of it, but I loved what I did, and I loved how good that I felt. And I distinctly remember I had a corporate mentor, and I just hit 2-star diamond. And he said to me, "So what's your why?" And I said, "Oh my God, I just really love this. I really love what I do. I really love helping people." He's like, "Well, do you want to pay off debt? Do you need money? Do you want to leave your corporate job?" I'm like, "No, I just really love this." And that is literally what carried me for the first 2 years of coaching. And then I'll kind of go into what happened and why things changed for me. I had, a great first 2 years of coaching. I started off pretty strong in 2014, 2015. I got to lead an elite team. I showed up at Summit in 2016, and I remember in 2015 I went to Summit. I had one coach with me, and we stayed in a friend's couch in Nashville in order to like avoid paying for a hotel because it was expensive. And we dog sat her dog like in exchange for rent. And my second year in 2016, I had a whole team with me. I got recognized as an elite coach. It was just like really, really like I was on Beachbody high. I came back from Summit. They chose me to be in the core to force test group. You guys know getting in test groups is like impossible. I was like, this is like amazing. Like I am just going all in. And then August 10th, 2016, I had an accident. I was walking my dog before work, and I was crossing a crosswalk like I do every morning, and I was hit at full speed by a car. I had an emergency brain surgery to save my life. The doctors didn't think I would survive. Like 1 in 20 people survive what happened to me. And they said I'd never walk again. I shattered my entire pelvis. And I will tell you, I'm going to show you these pictures. I will tell you that my why changed. The sweet shaved head look for my brain surgery. I had that fixator drilled into my pelvis for 12 weeks. It was stuck in there through my skin. That's when I like got the okay to like start walking again and doing that stuff. Being fit saved my life. Being healthy, all of that, being able to walk again, being strong, there is no question about that. So that's why I want to talk to you guys a little bit about like my why changed. And I realized that what we do is just so important. And there's so many people out there who can be impacted by what you do. All the doctors that, I went to trauma, obviously I went to a trauma center, and all the doctors have said like, your body just can't handle that much trauma if you're not in good shape, if your heart's not in good shape, if your body's physically not in good shape, you just can't do it. And it was just an aha moment for me that like, while I love this business and I love what I did, and I had a successful business before this accident, that it's just so important what we do as coaches, and that we can really change some lives and get people started. And I know Stephanie touched on that before this, before we started, like if you're not at your goals yet, you still can be. And she said like, help someone get started on their health and fitness journey, not sell them something, but help someone. And I think that's so important. So that's kind of been, I've taken my mess, and this was a mess, you guys. I was wheelchair bound for 3 months. It was a mess, and I turned it into my message. And I know that I have a positive impact on people. And I know that this business, just the fitness aspect of it, has changed my life and saved it. So how this sort of ties into my time management speech is that through my accident, I'm sure if you've ever had surgery or something like that, you understand, like you just are kind of stuck. I was in the hospital for a full month. I was stuck in a bed. I was only allowed to pivot in and out of my wheelchair on my left foot only to go to the bathroom. And I needed something to do. And I knew what I had to do because I had this time management, and I knew like what I could do every single day to move my business forward and help more people, right? And because I had this plan, I was able to continue with my business. And this could have been the base, like no one would have blamed me if I was like, okay, I'm just taking a break. I can't do this right now. Like this is an okay excuse. But I didn't want that because I knew that I could help more people than I ever had before. And you'll see, like, if you kind of look to the right there, that's my transformation after. I actually didn't gain a ton of weight, but I lost my whole butt and my abs, because when you're sitting for 3 months, you lose a lot of muscle. So, but like really I was able to get, I was able to start Core de Force when the program launched to the public in November. I had my accident in August. And then by some sort of like crazy miracle, I got pregnant in December after I struggled with miscarriage and infertility before my accident. And they, once again, no one has any idea how, but I had a baby girl in September. So if you hear the monitor like white noise in the background, I'm sorry. She's asleep. And happy, healthy. I had no pain during my pregnancy, even after I had a newly shattered pelvis that came back together. I mean, we're talking like stuff that no one could have predicted. So I encourage you guys to really think about, instead of thinking about selling and all that sort of stuff, think about how many people you can help, and know that what we do can make such an amazing impact on people. And like Stephanie said, I am a corporate girl. So I worked at a Fortune 10 company up until March of this year. And unfortunately, about a couple months after I returned from maternity leave, they told me they no longer needed me, and I got laid off. I just accepted an offer to go back to work June 18th, which I'm super excited about. I love what I do. So I am not leaving my corporate life. It's just not my preference. I love Beachbody and I love my corporate job, and kind of like bringing them together is what I love. So I'm still going to be continuing to use all these crazy time management skills. All right. So I work in power hours. This is like the meat of the call. Power pockets, you can call them. Sometimes I do 15 minutes at a time. Sometimes I can sit down and do an hour. But in total transparency, I don't work this business more than 10 or 12 hours a week, because that's what I had time for, right? When I was working full time, and especially after I had a baby, like that's what I had time for in my day. So what do I do every single week? I write out my power hour to-do list, which pretty much looks the same. On the weekends, I'll take an extra hour or two and do catch up if I have to do a newsletter, send an email, something like that. I write out my goals and my daily to-do list. I read and listen to personal development. So sometimes it's while I'm walking my dogs, or sometimes while I'm cooking dinner if I don't have time to sit down and read. I do something though. Sometimes you can even put it on when you do your workout, you guys. Like you don't have to, sit down and read a book if you feel like you don't have time to do that, right? I work on me and I lead by example. So I don't spend a lot of time pulling people along and telling them what to do. I'd rather spend my time working on myself and seeing what's working and sharing with my team, like, this is what's working for me, this is what's not working for me. I think it's way better to lead by example. Even as a 5-star coach, I probably spend 90% of my time on myself, on my own business, because that's what's best for my team. It's what's best for my team to see me doing it and seeing what's working and what's not, rather than me telling them do this, that, the other thing. They don't want to know that. They want to know what's working and what's not. I have the right mindset and the right intentions. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about that, and kind of how I do work to help people, and how I work in my free groups. I don't expect things in return. I think that's really important. And then number 6, this one's super obvious, but I'm just going to say it: no excuses and no complaining. We see all sorts of top coaches in these leaderboards, and some of them are men, women, married, they have kids, they don't have kids, they, free spirits, they're super rigid, whatever. But the one thing that they all have in common is that they don't make excuses. If they miss a goal, they own it. It's not, they didn't miss a goal because of something someone else did. They missed a goal because of something that they missed or they didn't do or whatever, and they own it and they move forward from it. So I think that's really important and a great mindset to have. So what do I do every day? I add people to my network. You can either do it in like little spurts, or you can do it in, 20 people at a time, 3 to 5 a day, whatever works for you. I return all my messages. I share twice per day something about something with the business. I create new relationships. I invite people. We're going to talk a lot about inviting this call. I'm not one of those people that can just have people flock to me. I have to invite. And if you don't have to invite and you can have people flock to you, that's great. But inviting is really, I'd say about 80% of the people in my business I've had to invite. In the beginning, it was more like 90, and 20% have come to me. So I'd only have 10 to 20% of my business today if I didn't take the time to invite. I follow up with people, like fortunes in the follow up. I think there's like a statistic that says you have to talk to someone 6 times before they commit to it on average. I don't know the exact number, but I feel like it's something like that. I make a to-do list. I post on my team page, but I'm very random about this. So mostly what I post is like, hey, I put up this post. It's working really well for me. You guys should like, think of something that's similar or use it and change it around, whatever works for you. I post on my personal Facebook and Instagram at least twice a day. If you use different platforms, if you like Pinterest and YouTube or something else, that's fine. For me, it's Facebook and Instagram. And it's non-negotiable. I put the business in front of 3 to 5 people a week at least. So I talk to them about the business, what I do. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily like, getting as far as like a sign up link, but I'm just starting to chat about it, and especially like with my layoff, I haven't publicly shared for, and this is like, if this is on YouTube, that's fine, but I haven't publicly shared for a myriad of reasons on my social media, but I'm comfortable talking to people about it. But as I talk to people, it's scary to have an infant and all of a sudden have no job, right? I was at the company for 13 plus years. I never took a single sick day. I go on maternity leave, I come back, I don't have a job anymore. Like that's super scary. But this business like helped me chill out and not have to worry about money because I knew that I had money coming in. So it's a great like conversation piece to just talk about the money. This is what I'm doing every day, like literally every single day. And I do take vacations and I do take breaks. But just like you tell your boss when you're going to go out on vacation, I tell my social media audience. Like I remember when we went on the cruise, the Success Club cruise in 2015, everyone bought the 2016, everyone bought the Wi-Fi package. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I put my phone in my safe and I carried around an old school camera. And that was my choice. But I told my audience, hey, I'm unplugging. And they are obviously cool with it. But like, don't just not show up. That is super important. Okay, so I am really intentional about my calendar. This one's super old, but I just like to give an example of like what my calendar looks like. So the first Monday of every month, I run a free challenge in my free group. I used to open and close groups every single month, and I was losing people and people were getting frustrated because they didn't know there was a new group. They missed the post about the new group, whatever. So now I just leave I was going to say I have 2 groups, but now I have 3 groups because I have a 2B group as well. But I have a free group, I have a challenge group, and I have a 2B mindset group. And my free group, I just run a free challenge in there the first Monday of every month, and I continue to add people in. And that way I don't lose track of people, like I know who's in there, I know who's, chatting with me. And to me, it's no sweat off my back. If they don't want to participate, that's totally fine with me. And then, so doing that kind of allows me to see who might be interested in my challenge group for the month. And then I will start to see who's participating, who's, wants to chat, who I'm talking to, who's responding to me. And I'll invite them to my challenge group, which is going to start the second Monday of the month, right? And then that challenge group starts. And then the third or fourth Monday of the month, depending on how the month runs, I'll do what is coaching group. So I'll look at, okay, I have my free group people, and then some of them join my challenge group, and then my challenge group starts, and I want to see like who's posting, who I like, okay, because I get to pick my coworkers in this job. So who do I want to work with? Who do I want on my team? And I'm going to invite them to my sneak peek in the coaching group. And that allows me to hit Success Club super early in the month. So like, the first 2 weeks I hit Success Club, and then I can concentrate the second half of the month working to convert people to coaches, helping my new coaches get started. And really, that's how I organize myself. So what I was finding at the beginning was there were so many different groups, and I felt like I had squirrel syndrome. Like I was like, oh my God, there's so much going on. But this allows me to, okay, I'm going to start breadcrumbing my free group and invite to it, and then it starts. And then I'm going to start breadcrumbing my my paid challenge group. Then I'm going to invite to it, and then it starts. And then I talk about coaching, and then I invite to the sneak peek, and then it starts. And then I start it all over again. It doesn't sound glamorous, I know, but it's really helped me focus. So I'm not like inviting to a ton of different things at once. This is what works for me. I've seen people do like they alternate, challenge group, coaching group, challenge group, coaching group, and that might work great for them. This is what I like for me. And I love having the free group. I'll have people in there for years that never buy anything, and then one day they're like, wow, you've really supported me, and I'm ready to commit. And that's great. Like I think that's great, but I never expect anything from them. I just ask that they try to participate as they can. Okay, so we talked a lot about inviting. Let's talk about some conversation starters. Compliment, comment, question. That's a great way to start to talk to someone. I loved that blue dress. It looked great on you. Where did you get it? Super easy, right? And make it people you want to talk to. Don't like just talk to someone because you're like, oh, they make a great coach, but you have no idea like how to speak to them, or you have nothing in common, or you're not interested in what they're doing. Like, have genuine conversations. I will tell you that, working in corporate, I did not get to pick my coworkers. Like I just didn't. And I get to pick my coworkers here, and I want to build a team of people that I want to work with every day. So think about that. General questions, personal questions. You can ask them if they considered. Use their name. I cannot stress this enough. Hun, babe, cutie, whatever. That's great, but it almost feels spammy to me and to people. I had someone on Instagram reach out to me today, and they said, hey, XO Jillian Kaplan, which is my Instagram name. And I was like, really? You're going to it was super weird. But for me, like if you said, hey, Jillian, I'd be way more apt to respond to you. Like it felt like, very impersonal. Some good questions for you. So I encourage you to start talking to people, and don't just start talking to them and be like, hey, want to join my challenge group? But start talking to people that you genuinely want to talk to. And maybe you could be friends, even if they didn't join your challenge group or your team or whatever. I'm going to encourage you to do that. Social media planner. So I know that things have changed a little bit with stories. I do aim for 10 stories a day. When I was working, I felt like my stories were super boring. I was like, here's an office, sweet. But I try to do more stories before work, when I work out, and then, kind of save some for lunch that I can just put up real quickly. And then obviously after work. And here's kind of a planner. If you have no idea what to post, this is some good ideas for you to post every single week. And people really never get sick of transformation. So I highly recommend you do a lot of transformations. There was a girl, I don't even remember her name, but I was listening to a call she did. I think she's number 3 in the network right now. And she was saying she before she started 80-day obsession, she took pictures of every body part, every single one, and post her arm and her knee and her calf and all this stuff. And people love it. And she's literally number 3 in the network now. And I was like, all right, better start taking pictures of my toes and and post transformations of them. All right. Here are my top 5 time management tips. And then I know I saw some questions come in. I'm happy to answer anything you guys have. So have a plan and stick to it. Don't get squirrel syndrome. If you see someone doing something really cool, like they're doing a mason jar salad group, and you're like, that sounds awesome, but I'm not doing that right now. Be like, hey, Jen, can I have your mason jar salad group plan? I'd love to, use it next month. And I'm sure Jen will give it to you. Just ask for it and maybe work it into your schedule later. Every day, every day, every day, every day, even when you don't want to, even when you can't, even when whatever, just do it. Literally you can get this stuff done in an hour or less if you stay focused. It doesn't have to be in a long, a whole hour time span, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, quickly, whenever you have time. Put the necessary before the fun. So if you love designing things, or you love, I don't know what you like doing with the business. You love writing newsletters, you love doing blogs, you've got to do your power hour first. You've got to do the vitals first, and then you can start doing that fun stuff. And if there's stuff you're really bad at, my flyers, I'm an engineer, you guys, so I do math. My flyers look like my dog did them. First of all, I don't really do them anymore, but if I do, I use a service called Fiverr, Fiverr, and it's $5. and someone will design something for you that you need. And it's like, and I used to spend 3 hours on it. It looked terrible. So if you're not good at stuff, outsource it. You don't have to get an assistant. You don't have to be big and fancy. $5 and it'll save you like whatever hours of your time. Take your hardships and turn them into success. Many of you probably did not have an accident the way that I had in the middle of your coaching career. I get that. But we're all going through something. We all have something going on. You know, I don't know what it could be, but I guarantee you there's someone else out there that can relate to you. And sharing it will help that person, but it will probably also help you. It's very therapeutic for you to share what you're going through. I felt that way a lot during my accident. Like I did a lot of live videos because I felt very alone sitting in a hospital bed. You know, my husband had gone back to work and I was living in a rehab center and everyone was 90 and I'm 35 and I needed to talk to someone, you know? And so it was like it was a way to like get things off my chest and like, you know, basically therapy for me. And I bet you if you share something that you're going through, it will be therapy for you as well. Ashley Molstad did a call in February 2017, I think, 17, the National Wake Up Call. And it was about getting the gremlins out of your closet. And I loved it. And I highly recommend you listen to it if you haven't, because it was a really good way of how to share what you're going through without like word vomiting and sounding like a negative Nancy. So if you're struggling with like how to share whatever it is, because I guarantee you there's something, I would listen to that call because I thought it was great. And then tip 5, stop scrolling. If you're scrolling for an hour on Facebook, you didn't work. I guarantee you, you might think you did, but you have to do the work first. I totally scroll aimlessly after I do my work, but I don't before then. I'm like super focused. So I'm going to encourage you to be as well. All right. And I'm going to give you an assignment. All right. So we got a week left in May. So you can look at what does your calendar look like for June? What do you want to do in June? What are your goals? Write them down. And how are you going to get to those goals? What groups are you going to run that are going to help you get to those goals? What are you going to be inviting to? Because you have to be inviting to something. Don't just be like aimlessly. We have so much amazing stuff right now with Alana Molstein's group, and the sale is on till June 3rd. And then like literally a week later, you can start getting people signed up to get in Joel's Lift 4 group through July. Like that's amazing. So take advantage of these opportunities that Beachbody is giving us. And then be bold. Start reaching out, start talking to people. Don't be scared. I guarantee you, if you're going about it the right way, even if people say no, and I probably get like 200 no's a week, they're really nice about it. They're like, wow, you were like super nice and you went about it in a really nice way. And people are always saying that to me. I get very few people that are nasty, because if you're doing it the right way, I think you will truly, you can make some friends, even if, you know, they don't join your team or join a challenge group or whatever. Who cares? Like, you can have a really positive impact in someone's life anyway. So I'm going to stop my share, and then I'm happy to take
awesome
questions.
Let's see. Does anyone have any questions for Jillian? So I know while they're if you guys have any questions related to time management or things that you guys are struggling with when it comes to your posting, one thing that I know that I hear a lot in the team, Jillian, is just when you have that the need for that consistency in posting, but then kind of coming up with new material and just not feeling like you're posting the same thing over and over again. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that, if you could speak to that. You know, I kind of have my thoughts to that, but just kind of what your thoughts are to that and how you would guide because for me, I'm like, okay, our story from the past is the same. That's never going to change. We're here. It's never going to change. And we have to stay consistent in sharing that story because, you know, as we grow, we're going to have different perceptions of that story and different reflections back. And those are all going to be great new keys that we can share with our audience. But I know that I just hear a lot that they just, you know, the team, they just feel like they're sharing the same thing over and over again. I know that we need that consistency, but I think it's also good to hear from other people kind of what, like the Transformation Tuesday, people are like, how many you just said, like, transformations are great. People like to see them. So.
Yeah. I mean, really the way the algorithm works, like 7% of your newsfeed even sees the post anyway. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't, you're going to be surprised like how many people, some people are like, I didn't even know that you are a Beachbody coach. I'm like, we've been friends since 2017. Like, what am I missing? You know, like, so, like, first of all, the algorithm will not show it to the same people over and over and over again. So that's something really important to remember. But it's also, if you're growing your network, it's going to be new people seeing it all the time as well. And it's never going to get old. But I loved this girl's idea. I wish I could remember her name, of like taking lots of different pictures and not just like the typical, you know, bikini picture, front, side, and back, and like all different body parts and that sort of stuff. But definitely at least once a week, you should be doing Transformation Tuesday, even if it's not yours, even if you want to share someone else's transformation, like that's totally fine too. You know, most people are fine. I mean, I don't know any coaches that aren't fine with it. Just make sure it's a coach and not like someone using something else. I had someone once like share my transformation and say it was like It Works products, and I was like, that's weird. I don't think I've ever used a wrap, but so so just make sure it's a coach. But I guarantee you, like if it is a coach, they're gonna be fine with you. I'm sure Stephanie sees too, and all the leader pages, people are always like, yeah, take it, like whatever you need.
And
so.
how great, and thank you for that. And then how long? So you've been running your ongoing challenge group, and then your ongoing free group, and now you have 2B. I do very similar, where I run an ongoing challenge group, and so did you start that from the beginning on your own? And kind of, you know, when did you start kind of taking that ownership of yourself and of your own clients?
Yeah, so I'd say it was a few months in. My coach started around the same time as me, so she wasn't like, she was still in her coach's group, you know, so it was like two. And then I was like, I'm just gonna start doing this. And for the first 2.5 years, so through 2016, I was opening and closing groups every month, and it was such a time suck. I'm like, this is such a time suck. And then one day I made a poll in my group, and I was like, do you guys like this, or would you just prefer an ongoing group? And 0 people liked me opening and closing groups. And I was like, okay, you don't like it. I don't like it. We're not doing this anymore. But I do like a new round every month, you know? So I'm inviting people to my new round, and I'm always like, you know, doing fun giveaways or prizes or whatever. And with BOD, it really changed things because very few people are doing the same program. So like, you know, I have people doing all different sorts of programs, and that's great because it makes my life, they like help each other with stuff. Oh, you know, I've been wanting to do 22-minute hardcore, and I see you're doing it. How do you like it? You know? And for me, I'll tell you, I'm like the worst salesperson in the world. I am really bad. Like everyone's always like, how do you upgrade them with Shakeology? I'm like, I don't. I'm just like, okay, you can not do without Shakeology. I don't know. I don't like that part of the business. Totally honest on it. And most of the people come back and get Shakeology because it's amazing and they see it in my challenge groups, but that's not my jam. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at like adding on to orders. I don't even know where I was going with that now. But like I truly just believe in helping people. Oh, so I was saying about BOD. Like when we had DVDs, you had to like, oh, like someone would buy Country Heat and they'd be like, I don't like this. This sucks. And I'd be like, well, you have to return the whole thing. And they were like, well, I want to keep my Shakeology. I'm like, oh, I can't do that. You know, I'm sure Stephanie remembers these days too. So now they buy BOD and they're like, I don't like Country Heat. I'm like, sweet, you got like 700 other programs to choose from. And we can spend so much less of our time selling and so much more time helping new people. Like it's just a win-win. It's amazing. So.
Awesome. Well, there's a question here. How do you stay organized? So are you a pen and paper girl? How are you? That's usually a common question as well.
I use Streak in Gmail. It's free. I'm all about free, you guys. I don't use any paid. I don't have an assistant. I will use Fiverr as needed, but truthfully, I haven't used it in a while. But I use Streak. It's a Gmail add-on. The reason I like it is because I don't have to log into a second system. So when I log into my Gmail, it's right there. I don't have to like log into MailChimp or load something into Constant Contact or whatever. It's right there.
And so do you have your Streak? You have a funnel for prospecting, funnel for active customers, and funnel for coaches? Is that?
Yeah, I have 3 funnels. I have customers, prospective coaches, and coaches. And then in my customers, I have like a ton of different headlines.
And
Like
how about for your prospects? Because
yeah,
this can also be, I'm just saying for the team as well, like this could also be applied to an Excel spreadsheet, kind of the idea behind. So when you're taking the organization of your prospects, I'm assuming, but I want them to know, I'm assuming you would have different parts of where you are in your conversation with them.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I try to get everyone into email because I just feel like, I don't know, Facebook could go away tomorrow. Not that it will, but like it's just easier for me to like track everyone in there. And I can do mail merges through Streak, which is where you can like send a bunch of emails. So like, for example, I sent like one coach in April, which is weird for me. I'm usually a 3 to 5 a month. I'm really solid like that. And I'm like a solid Success Club 20 to 30 a month. Like I'm very consistent. And in May, I had a lot of coaches sign up because they want to be part of 2B or whatever. I don't know. It's been a great month, but they're feeling overwhelmed. So I just went through and looked up, I can just go into Streak and I can say, I want all my coaches that have been in this pipeline in the past month. And I said to them, like, I sent them a note saying, like, it all starts with one. And so, like, I'm just encouraging them to get one person started, not worry about Success Club, not whatever. But it was super easy for me. It took me like 3 minutes to do it.
Mm-hmm. So Streak is, and guys, we have, there is Streak trainings online, and Streak is something that it does have just a tiny learning curve in the beginning. You have to sit down and actually and set it up. But once you understand it, and everyone's learning curve of understanding it may be different, but I can tell you that it works. It's amazing. Jillian's telling you it works for her. It's a free way of keeping track of people. And so that is something to consider in terms of the tracking for your business is Streak. And the mail merges are great. That's when you can send the same message to multiple people at once, no more than 300 per Gmail, but unless you want to get blocked. And so, yeah, so definitely Gmail. And then someone else says, oh, what was the name of that video that you said to watch about how not to post and not word vomit? I think you said it was a national wake up call with Ashley Mosted.
Yeah, it was a national wake up call with Ashley Milstead. I want to say it was like February 2017.
Okay.
March.
So basically, Jackie, what she's saying, so you can go onto the online office and look at the archive for all of the national wake up calls. Every single week they have a guest speaker. And so it'll be one of Ashley's, so it'll be Ashley Mosted and one of her calls that you'll see.
It was about like Gremlins, and it was so good. And I remember it was at a time when I was very pregnant and I was feeling like really overweight and like unhappy about like how big I looked pregnant. But then I started to feel guilty because I know how hard it is for some women to get pregnant. So I went through this whole like push and pull, and it really helped me like express it without like sounding like a jerk. It was good. It was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there was a question I had and I can't remember. Oh no. Let me see if it comes to me. Has anyone else have any questions, for Jillian related to time management? Oh, how do you create boundaries in your business, especially, because we're getting, this is something that I'm also kind of, just diving into myself, but it's something that I want them to be aware of, because at the end of the day, we have a business. Our business should not run us. And, creating those boundaries in your life related to the business, but it requires time management. It requires having structure so that you feel confident and you feel comfortable. So can you speak a little bit to that as a mom and how you create those boundaries?
Yeah, so some people like to have set times that they work and set times that they unplug. That's not how I work best, because I don't, especially now, like my child is still in daycare some, but she's home with me a good amount because I'm not working right now. And I don't ever know how my day is going to go. So I don't like to say like, I'm going to work from 1 to 2, because she could nap from like 1 to 1:05 and be like, screw this, I'm not napping anymore. So it really, but I do make sure that I unplug, after I finished my work. So if I'm working, and that being said, I know I'm going to work at least an hour a day, and I return all of my messages during my power hour. So not going to take me more than 24 hours to get back to someone, which I feel like is a reasonable time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are some days where like the first 2 days of the to be launch, I had no boundaries. Like I was like, I'm doing this, and it was nose to the grindstone, and that's my choice. Like I was like, I'm gonna just. I know there are people that stayed up until midnight to like let it. That was 3 a.m. Eastern, so I wasn't gonna do that, but to let it launch and start sending out links, which is amazing. You just have to decide what works for you. For me, it doesn't work to have set times. I need to like work when I have time and then make sure that I unplug when I'm done with my work and not sit on Facebook and scroll.
Yeah, exactly. And I know today I was talking with one of the coaches guys, Emily, and we were talking about time management. And I just suggested to her that, because I know I suggested similar to what Jillian is saying, to create a power hour and to just start with 30 minutes, start with a consistent 30 minutes of like, this is what I can get done in 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10-minute pockets, and just get consistent. I think one thing that it's always hard. It's like we're always looking to see how to make this easier, or we're always looking to see how, is there a secret somewhere, or the business itself is actually very simple. It's a very simple business. It's just the consistency aspect of it that makes it the most difficult. Just like when you guys are trying to lose weight, losing weight is not that difficult. It's, it's exercising every single day. It's making sure it's calories in, calories out. Like it's not that difficult, but it's the consistency of sticking to that plan. Same thing with this. And so if you can, if you can create your list that makes most sense to you, that you can reasonably stick to in a consistent basis, and just choose a time that you think will be consistent, that you'll be able to stick to. That's the beauty of being your own boss, and you get to pick how you want to work this business. You can't do it how Jillian does it. You can't do it how I do it. You can't do it how some of these other coaches do it. So for Emily, I told her, you know what, do 30 minutes. If you have to wake up before your kids, that's when you have to do it, because that's the only time when there's quiet time in the house, is that 5 o'clock in the morning. So maybe try that, because waiting until the end of the day hasn't been working for you. So it's a trial and error. And I think that's what, I want you guys to understand. It's a trial and error, but it's important to have some sort of list that you're kind of working off of. So.
Yeah. And like when things go awry, because they will, what you have to do in your business still. Like, and I didn't work when I was from a hospital bed because I needed the money. Like, honestly, I didn't. I did it because I love what I do. And I mentally needed something to do that I felt like I had no purpose. I felt useless. I was like, in transparency, I was like peeing in a bucket for a week. Like, that's not fun. You don't feel human, but this made me feel like I had some purpose and something to do. So I think that you really find especially if you're struggling with like the time management of like being a mom and working or whatever you're doing, like you'll really find it actually is going to help you in the long run to have this.
Right. To have something that's yours too. I think that was very telling when you said, it's like, I needed to do this. It's like when you're sitting in, because there's a lot of people who are just walking through life very much just kind of checking in, putting the timestamp at their work, just at a job, and they're not, it doesn't fuel them. It doesn't, it's not something they love and they enjoy. I'm very similar to, my story is very similar to you. I did this for purpose and passion, nothing to do with money as well. And so yeah. And then last thing I would say is, when you did have those difficult times, you were in the hospital, you had those difficult pregnancies, you remained as best as you could consistent, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was super consistent. I mean, and like I said, sharing all of that like helped me a lot. Like even in the beginning when I had my daughter, I was like, this is so hard. Why did no one tell me this was going to be so hard? It was so hard. And I shared about that a lot, like how hard it was and how I feel like, I just didn't know it would be so hard. And people appreciate that too, but it helped me like kind of get it like off my chest. Like, am I alone in this? Am I the only one that thinks this is like really difficult? So, yeah, I'm consistency. Actually, I wish have you seen the Eric Worre 20 and 30 sprint? Have you ever done that?
I haven't done it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm like working on it right now. I'm trying to do it. And like it's hard for someone that is like a consistent, steady Eddie to like to go in that like ramp mode. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And then I'm like, oh, but so I need to like get into that mode a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
it's very cool.
Yeah,
If you guys have anything, you can send me a message. I'm happy to chat with you. I just encourage you to like make your own calendar, know what you're like. Do you guys know what you're inviting to right now? Like, seriously, I'm gonna ask that question.
you can ask.
Or are you guys just like inviting randomly? No one's
I'm not sure what they'll say. They can internalize that question.
But seriously, right? Like, think about it. Like, what do you want to invite to? Like, what do you want to invite to? That's like my question for you. Because that's where I was stuck. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. I was just all over the place. And I think it's going to take time to get organized. Like Stephanie said, like streak takes time. I waited way too long in my business to set it up. And it took me an entire weekend, I remember. But now it's like, it's so simple. Someone signs up for a challenge pack, they get my email that, welcomes them to the challenge group. It's a snippet and streak. It sends automatically. And then I send a follow-up 2 days later and I schedule it to go out. I don't have to think about it. Like it's amazing. So I encourage you guys to get organized, with whatever you want, and use it because it'll help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jillian, for coming on and speaking. I'm looking forward to speaking to your crew in a couple weeks. But thank you so much for taking the time and coming on and giving us these tips, because I know a lot of people do struggle with time management. So
you're welcome. If you guys have anything, reach out to me, and I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.